This has to be done by 11:30. Yeah. Okay. All right. I had notes and I can't find my notes. But when I was growing up, my dad never talked about his family. But in the last few years, he started talking about his family. And I learned something about him, who he is. And he told me, for example, about his brother, Jawad, that I had never heard anything about. And he said that Jawad could fix cars, and whenever someone else couldn't fix a car, they called him, because he knew what to do. And that's kind of what my dad was like. He always could figure things out, and he was just very smart and very bright. And at the end, he was in this nursing home at the end as he was declining physically. Just give him this. And I was worried that I don't want my dad to die in this nursing home alone with strangers. But you know, all of these wonderful people started coming into his life, and friends started visiting, and even people that had been in his life before were in his life in a different way. And they were just talking about things that were about love and who he was and our relationship with him. And then when it came really close to the end, the most amazing thing happened. The staff at the nursing home started coming in one by one, and they stroked his face, and they told him that they loved him. And these were people that were complete strangers 7 months ago. And there was one in particular that I just broke down. She was the woman that mopped the floors, and she came in and she whispered in his ear, and he could not respond, but I felt a positive energy. He was accepting her, and he never would have done that in the past. And she did a prayer over him, and then she kissed him. A person that was never involved directly in his care. And I just broke down. And just as she was leaving, Mona came waltzing in, singing, "I love you, I love you, I love you." So my dad heard everything that he needed to. And the hospice told us, "Tell him that you love him over and over and over." And I was like, we never talked that way before. It would have been an awkward moment, but we did. We told him over and over, and that we were with him. And he's near. That's what I would tell him now. He's near. We're never far away. We're never going to be far away. Yes. Thank you all for coming. This really means a lot to us, how many of you have come. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about, my dad and what was different or special about him. I always remember my dad as a caregiver. And, for his culture and his generation, that was unusual for the men to be, the caregivers. But he actually physically took care of people. He took care of my Yasmin and I when we were little. He was one of our main caregivers. When my children were born, he and my mom took care of them for the first 5 years of their life when I went to work, when they were sick. And he did more than change diapers. He helped care for them when they were sick. And then when his wife, in her later years needed more attention, he always took care of her. And he loved to cook. He was very meticulous in how he prepared his meals. It had to be just so. And it's just, he was always also, I remember, always very particular about his diet. No fat, no beef, because that you could get mad cow disease. He said he was mad enough. That's what he would tell people. No pork for religious and other reasons. No eggs because of the cholesterol. No dessert. So, those are the things that I remember. And towards the end, like Yasmin said, he accepted more things that we didn't talk about before. He was more willing to do, and I think he listened. And when people prayed for him, he accepted it.
Okay. My thing is, I received these pamphlets from the Fellowship of Esau in Minnesota, and it was because my husband's name was Mohammed. So, and it started out by saying everything there was to know about Jesus from the Quran, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I quickly acquired a Quran and started studying it. Anyway, they were all in Arabic, although of course they had English translation, but I thought, well, who am I going to give this to? I only know Iranians, except for Karim. So for such a time as this, these were sent. And one conversation that I had with him, not one, but many days towards the last, I would go over all the things that it said about Jesus, and I said, Karim, do you believe what Muhammad said about Jesus? And he would say, wait a little bit, and he'd say, well, I'm a little confused. And then finally, after so many times of this, I said, can you say to God, help my unbelief? So I don't have a lot of these. I have to give it out one for family. But I would have you to have that question for yourself. Help thou my unbelief. Because we all have questions, we all have confusion, and all the things that have gone on in the world that just don't add up to what's really there. So I want to give those out, and then I wrote a memorial for him, which I can't take credit for. It's really from God. And so that's pretty much what I have to say for him. He was a gentle soul, really gentle. I've never met anybody so gentle. He would help so many people. He was so gentle with Mally May and with his children and the grandkids. He was just gentle. So that's what I have to say about him and about the situation. But anyway, I would just have you, as you read these things, ask God to help your unbelief.
And what he did when you asked him, he said, I can do that.
He says, I can do that. If he can do it, you can do it. I was shocked when he said that. I thought, oh, wow, a whole sentence. Yeah, I can do that. So thank you for reminding me. Yeah. So that's it. And I don't know the schedule next. We wanted to prepare to get her violin ready.
Does anybody else want to say something? Or?
I know very spongy. Yeah, that's a whole different.
Not much to say except the first time I saw Karim Leila Yasmin was like 1 year old. So.
He's not going to tell you the year, though.
I know.
He's forgotten it anyway.
So cute together as usual, still are. And Karim was very handsome. And we talked a lot. We talked about his country. We talked about my country. We go to
Over there. Yes.
The other side.
The other side. The other side.
But anyways, he was very nice. He was a gentleman. He took me around New York City. I was going from Indiana. And he showed me everything as like a good friend. So I thought that my aunt has a very good husband, and all these years I visited him there, he was just here. And we're good friends, except that I didn't see him for the last few months. Perhaps.
Well, thank you.
I just want to share from my perspective. It was very similar to my mom's words, and as I walked up, I thought, Karim was a gentle soul. He was gentle with his words. He was soft with his words. He was very tender with his thoughts and his concern for you, and that's how I'll always remember him, as that gentle soul and calm, and I'm sure you needed a lot of calmness along as I did in my home. And so he was a good balance for my Aunt Malihé in that sense. He was very calm and gentle and kind to all of us. Just really one of our family in that sense. He was very loving to all of us.
I'd like to share something. Hi, my name is Oscar Attar, friend of the family, and I'm grateful to say that Mr. Attar is a friend of mine. You know, sometimes with friendships, they kind of be iffy at times. Sometimes you have an understanding, and sometimes you have misunderstandings. So sometimes you don't know if that friendship is still active or still intact. And for the time that I've been able to spend with the family as a friend, but also helping with some gardening at the house, I've come to know Mr. Attar and Mrs. Attar from that activity. And as he's kind of experienced his illness, there are many times I've had a chance to visit with him and talk to him and share my faith with him in God. And I'm going to miss the opportunity to be able to talk to him more about that. But also, something that he taught me was to really think about what you say and how you say it. He was very methodical about his thoughts. And so he would try to uncover more meaning from what I would say. And it actually would force me to think about, what I did say, to make sure that that the words that you speak are words that really reflect, who you are and what your heart is and the message you're really trying to get across. It kind of got frustrating at times because it was always looking for more meaning in my message. And so I had to stay on top of it. And sometimes when I would remember visiting him at Kaiser one time, I remember walking in thinking, getting my head together, okay, he's going to drill you on this, he's going to drill you on this, he's going to challenge you on this, so get yourself ready, get yourself prepared, because you got to come back with something good so that you could kind of stop him. And I think I got him one time where he actually looked at me and says, I don't think I have an answer for that. But he found something, it took him a little time to kind of think through what I said and how I responded. And then he found a little piece in it that I think he could challenge. I think he would have been great if he wasn't a debater or articulate a certain kind of philosophy or theory. Just one kind of funny story that I've enjoyed. I was able to plant some roses in the rose garden when both were a little more active. And so as they shared with me the roses that they purchased, I would dig the holes and try to position, but we probably spent more time trying to figure out where the rose bush would go than the time it took for me to kind of just actually put it in the ground. Mm-hmm. So I almost had to satisfy one while I was trying to satisfy the other. So when Mr. Attar would say, okay, put it there, and he disagreed. So I put it there, and so I tell him, I'm going to put it back. I'm going to put it back. Until I found the spot where I thought it felt better. So it eventually got to where I thought it needed to go in terms of the symmetry of the garden, but to please each one, I had to make sure that, I was going to listen to one, or I was going to listen to the other. And they haven't actually told me that, so. But I think it's a good thing. So I just wanted to share that and thank you, and I'm grateful that I can say that Mr. Attar was a friend, and that he told me that I was his friend. He's a great man, a great family, a great wife. I'm just grateful to be part of that life, part of this family. And I know he's left a legacy in many different ways among many of us here. And I'm just thankful to God that blessed me by allowing me to be part of this family.
I think that's all we have time for.
Rounds are ready to lower.